Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio podcast. I am Jen, GR Mom, joined as always by GR Dad.
Hi.
How's it going, GR Dad?
Good.
Excellent, excellent. The cocktail of the week is called the Maiden's Prayer. It's a good name, right?
It's a bit dated, but fine, fine.
I get all of these from this app called Highball Drink Cards, which I think you can buy like a deck of cards, and it's got all these drink recipes on it, but I just get them on Pinterest. And I think they're Australian, which is interesting. Anyway, gin, Cointreau, lemon juice, orange juice. Nice little orangey, tart gin drink.
Yeah, it's not actually misogynistic or anything.
No.
It doesn't say anything bad about maidens.
No, it sure doesn't.
There you go. I withdraw my objection.
Okay, Daisy.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
I would like to note for the record that I was like, yeah, we could do this podcast Thursday night instead of Wednesday night. And Jared had like, let's just podcast.
I like to talk.
So full credit to Ingo for making the podcast happen tonight, even though I'm feeling unmotivated.
You went running. You motivated yourself to go running. That was pretty impressive.
I did this whole thing on my running Instagram where I was like, I know I should go running today and I really don't want to go running. And so here's what I'm going to do. All right, I put my clothes on. I put my shoes on. Now I'm going to have a Diet Coke. Now I'm going to figure out what we're going to make for dinner. Oh, there's a fleeting moment of motivation. I better get out the house right now and start running because it's harder to stop if I'm actually in the process of running. So I did that. I did a lot of work today, but movement has not been at the...
You know what I did today?
Yeah, I do. You want to talk about it? Well, let's do some dog updates and then we'll go into it.
Yeah, then you'll all find out what I did today.
So Voods had a seizure on like late night, right around midnight on Monday night / Tuesday morning. In bed. He was literally in our bed at bedtime and started having a seizure. And
wasn't it Sunday night? Today's Wednesday? It was Monday night. Was it?
It was Monday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Monday night.
Yeah.
And so I have learned that one of the things the neurologist wants to know is how long the seizure lasts. And it's very hard to measure that if you just endure a seizure because it seems like it lasts both
20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes and also like 5 seconds. Like who knows? So I know now to immediately start my stopwatch when he starts having a seizure. And this one lasted... My stopwatch said 2 minutes and 8 seconds. It's hard to figure out when they stop because like there's the screamy loud terrible phase and then there's the like legs are running and like he's not at all with it, can't sit up
that well and panting and
yeah, so I don't really know when to stop it. And
it's terrible.
It took a minute. I mean, it took a few seconds for me to like, okay, this is happening. I'm coming out. Or I got to push the buttons like start the stopwatch. So it said 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And if he has a seizure that lasts more than 2 minutes, that's considered an emergency where he has to go to the vet. So it was 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And I'm like...
Was it 12:45 at night?
It was. Yeah, it was late. And I was like, well, he had the seizure a month ago. And we took him up to the emergency vet and he was fine. He didn't have any more seizures. It's like 1 a.m.
I'm really tired.
We're both exhausted. Like, maybe it'll be fine. Maybe he won't have any more seizures. Like, this was right on the borderline of, like, long enough that it constitutes an emergency. So we're like, all right, well, we'll see what happens.
We give him all his, like, emergency drugs and, we up the nose and break.
Bedazzle in the nose. Yep. The 3 Keppers broken in half because they're extended release. This is, by the way, how people OD on OxyContin. OxyContin is a continuous release and they mush it up so they get all the OxyContin at once. We do the same thing with the Keppra at the vet's recommendation. He gets the clorazepate, all the special meds, and he was being super weird all night. Like he clearly had not emerged from seizure land. I mean, he wasn't seizing, but there's what they call post-ictal phase. So after the seizure phase, where sometimes they're blind and they're deaf. He's definitely blind after a seizure. So he's always sticking his nose up in your face and like sniffing you. But you can like put your hand at his face like you're going to smack him in the face, which is a way to kind of tell if a dog is blind because they'll blink their eyes if you do that. And he can't tell. I think
it's terrible.
Yeah, I think eventually he was able to see a little bit. But Yeah, and just kind of moving around and agitated, which is a sign that he's going to probably have another seizure. And he did. I was up all night. I didn't sleep at all.
Yeah, it was around, was it 3 or 4?
It was 4:45.
Yeah.
He had a second seizure. So this is Tuesday morning, right? The first one was 12:45 Tuesday morning. 4:45 he has another one. I hadn't slept. He'd wanted to go out a few times, and then a couple other dogs were up and agitated. So he had another seizure at 4:45. So we call the neurologist and we're like, all right, we got to bring him up. He's had 2. And they're like, all right, I'm like, we'll get there around 8 because, we got to get ourselves, Ingo has to get himself together and then drive the 3 hours. Yeah. And they're like, all right, well, we open at 8. I mean, they do 24-hour for emergencies, but the regular appointments start at 8. So there may be a little wait when you get here because we've got all the regular patients coming. And I was like, fine, whatever you want is fine. And so Ingo leaves. Ingo gets himself together, puts Voods in the car, leaves the house right after 5 a.m. to go up to Miami. And I was like, all right, I have to sleep. I have not slept at all. I managed to sleep for about half an hour between 6:30 when I finally calmed down enough and 7:15 when the neurologist called. Inga wasn't there yet. And they're like, hey, just so you know, I don't know if they told you this, but we don't have any doctors in until 10. So we can't treat him until 10 o'clock because we need a doctor to approve treatment. And I was like, well, fuck. I think I literally said, fuck to the lady. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm really exhausted. What do we do between 8 o'clock when we're going to be there and 10 o'clock when you can see him? They're like, well, it's an emergency, so you can take him to another emergency vet. And I'm like, I know that process. One, there's 6-hour waits at emergency vets, but even if they don't make us wait, it's 45 minutes to get checked in. And then what? They're going to look at him. If he has another seizure, of course, but if he's not seizing, and then we got to take him out and drive half an hour to the neurologist. So I called Ingo and I was I was so irritated because I had woken up to this. I'd had my 40 minutes of sleep since Sunday, and I was like, they said they're not going to be there till 10, this and this. And poor Ingo was like, so what's the emergency vet that this doctor was at? I'm like, I don't know what doctor is it, what vet. I could just give you the address of this one place. And he's like, okay. I was very, very unhappy. Sorry I snapped at you, JR Dad.
You've apologized before. You don't have to apologize. It was fine.
I was a tough time.
But the upshot is, together we decided, I'm just going to hang out for an hour, go to McDonald's, walk the Voods, and, just show up at between 9 and 10.
Yeah, and if he has a seizure, of course, we'll go to an emergency place with him, but it'll probably be fine. And it was. So you get, whatever, at 9:30, I think you finally got to the neurologist.
Yeah, and Voods had gone for little walkies, and, we had given him breakfast and his drugs, and, it was not a terrible use of the time.
He got a McMuffin.
He got some McMuffin because I didn't bring the pill pockets, so the ham and cheese and egg were his pill pockets.
Yep. So
no complaints were heard from the Vood.
He seemed to enjoy it. So he gets to the vet at say 10-ish in the morning, 9:30 in the morning on Tuesday. And then we're like, okay, so if he goes 24 hours without a seizure, that'll be today, Wednesday morning. And then, we can pick him up sometime today. And I was like, Ingo, if you're going back up to Miami, I'm going to put in a grocery order at Whole Foods because we don't have Whole Foods in the Keys.
Right.
And, they got their guacamole is so good. That alone is a reason to go. I'm like, let me put in an order. You can swing by and pick it up. So I put in the order to pick up this afternoon. And then I get the kind of 10 or 11 a.m. call from the neurologist with the check-in for how he did overnight. And he had a seizure at 3 this morning. So no pickup today because he has to be 24 hours without a seizure. And so it's well, now we got a Whole Foods order that's supposed to be picked up at 1. And I'm like, they'll probably keep it, right, Ingo?
All that, you did say that. And I was like, all that food's going to go bad. Which also wasn't a rational response.
So what'd you do?
I drove to Miami to pick up groceries.
Like literally not even a dog, just groceries.
Not even a dog. I didn't even bring Guac because I thought it was animal abuse to bring him and then bring him back.
I think he would have been fine either way. He slept here as opposed to sleeping in the car.
Yeah, but it's easier for him to go out here, and he's got his brothers here.
Yeah, he was fine. So Ingo drove 6 hours today to get guacamole, not the dog, but the food.
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, I mean, I'll just have to drive 6 hours again tomorrow. But whatever. I mean, it's a living,
Yeah, I mean, like you had the time today, so what the heck, right?
Right.
I mean, there's something. I went up to Miami a few weeks ago, and there's something soothing of like, I'll get Chipotle for lunch, I'll pick up some groceries, and just like listen to some podcasts and stuff, and drive.
Listen to podcasts, right?
So anyway, you got home at like 6:30, and I got a call at like 6:45 from the nurse at the neurology place checking in for the day. And it turns out Vood had 2 seizures again today, not just the 3 a.m. one, but he had one, I think, at 3 in the afternoon and then at 5:30 in the afternoon. So when we dropped him off, they're like, okay, well, we'll just keep him on like his regular medicine. And we decided to do an MRI, which they did yesterday, just to make sure that there wasn't any kind of structural abnormality or like evidence of stroke or anything going on in his brain. And the neurologists were like, we can do the MRI. Like, that's really what we have to do to rule anything out. They're like, honestly, it's probably just idiopathic epilepsy, which means epilepsy for no reason that we can tell. That's probably what it is. Like, you don't have to do this. It is the thing that we need to rule out anything else. And I was like, well, when we had him up when Ingo, you had him up in Maryland, like the vets there were like, his back legs don't work right. We could do an MRI. And I was like, I know it's going to be like $3,000, but like, just do it. Like, and then we'll know for sure. We only have to do it the one time.
Like every vet we've taken him to is like, we could take an MRI. That'd give us data.
That's the thing. And like my dog Kay, who had seizures, like I did an MRI on her and she had a brain tumor. And, they ended up putting her on prednisone and Valium, and that really controlled the seizures. Like, she only had a couple after that. And it was like good to know, but also there was like stuff that we could give her that reduced the frequency.
Right.
And nobody really thought that's what was going on with Voods, but it was like, you can't tell without doing it. So I was like, let's just do it. Because you got him there, right?
Yeah.
You need to do anesthesia for it. So it's like an all day thing. So they did that yesterday and he was fine. And the anesthesia that they give, anesthesia is also an anticonvulsant. So like the medicine that we give him when he has seizures is also medicine that's used in anesthesia. So like that really helps with the seizures because they go under anesthesia and like you get this big dose of like brain controlling medicine. So he was kind of fine yesterday and we were hoping he'd come home, but no. So when they called this morning, they're like, I asked him like, so is he on an IV medicine now? And they're like, no, we did the midazolam in his nose. That's the stuff that we have at home where we spray it in his nose when he's having a seizure and it kind of interrupts the seizure. They're like, we did that and it helped. And he's just on his oral medication. And then, when I talked to them this evening, they were like, we had to start him on a drip of the midazolam through an IV to make sure that he doesn't keep having the seizures since he had a couple, within a few hours of each other. So
it's terribly frustrating. The whole thing is just so without cause, which means we can't do anything to remove the cause.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It's just, and I'm glad he had the seizures there and not here because they're just awful to experience. And I know
terrible.
Rationally he doesn't feel it, right? Or he doesn't notice it. He's sort of blacked out during them, but still, it's just awful.
Yeah, for sure. So, so I also am very relieved that he's up there getting taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, if we'd brought him back yesterday and then he'd had 2 more seizures today, it would have been
terrible.
Well, we would have been back in the car, but it's also we can't take as good of care of him. We can't give him the midazolam right away or the drip.
Yeah.
So it's better. I mean, it's it's an expensive spa that he's in. It's an expensive resort that Voods is visiting.
Oh my God.
But they do take good care of him.
So the nurse that I talked to, not tonight but last night, who called to give me the evening update was like, yeah, he's doing great. I was the one who took care of him after his MRI. She's like, he's a really good cuddler. And I was like, yeah, he really is. She's like, I was taking care of him after he was coming out of his anesthesia. She's like, I almost just took a nap laying down next to him. And I was like, yeah, he's really good. I'm like, I sleep with him like a teddy bear. Like, he gets into bed and I just spoon with him and like put one arm over him. She's like, he's so great. I love him so much.
Which is really nice to hear. He's still getting love.
Yeah, he's getting a ton of love from everybody up there, and they're taking very good care of him. He is absolutely our most expensive dog right now.
Ugh.
Oh my God, this is going to be... It's gonna be like a $7,000 vet visit. I was saying to somebody, I'm like, yeah, he heard me say that like Facebook is going to give us $35,000 and thought that we're actually going to get the $35,000 for the reels, where our current total hashtag administrative corner is, what was it, like $280 last week? Is $360 now.
I'll pay for like 6 minutes in the hospital.
Oh my God,
dude.
Food, we do not have $35,000. That's like hypothetical total.
Foods, take those cucumbers off your eyes.
Oh my God.
We're coming. We're coming to get you home.
Yeah, he's really enjoying his spa week up in Miami.
I feel terrible for him, but still.
Yeah, so he had his last seizure at like 5:30 tonight to Wednesday night. And so when I was talking to them, I'm like, so realistically, we're not going to come get him tomorrow, because assuming he doesn't have any more seizures, 24-hour seizure free would be like 5:30 p.m. Thursday. I'm like, we're not going to pick him up like as you guys are closing on Thursday, right? You keep him overnight Thursday, especially because 24 hours is the minimum. So you don't want to be like, well, he's been 24 hours and 2 minutes. Take him home.
I know. And then I'm 2 hours into the drive and he has a seizure. And I have to turn right around and admit him as an emergency. It would just be awful.
That's right. And they're like, look, we know he's a special case and he has these cluster seizures, like he's been having this week. And, yeah, they're like Friday would be the earliest that he's
a special case. Can we have that in writing?
He's a special dog. Even though his brain looks totally normal. We did the MRI, nothing on the MRI.
Yeah.
Looks totally normal.
Which doesn't reflect his behavior or mood or attitude or actions.
So they also did a spinal tap to see if he has meningitis or some sort of encephalitis, and that looked fine too. So
he's just a weird dude.
So anyway, that's the Voodoo update. Hopefully he gets to come home Friday, but frankly, he can stay there as long as he has to stay there to get stabilized. Like, it's such a relief to have them. They're clearly very good people who really love Voods, and they're super competent. It's such a relief to have him having his seizures there and being like well cared for and monitored by lots of people who are so smart and know what they're doing, as opposed to us like absolutely doing our best, but just having a very limited set of tools here. It's great. And
this distance is stressful.
Someday our emergency vet will open. If you happen to be a vet tech and would like to come live in tropical paradise, you can come work at the vet that is trying to open their overnight facility, so we don't have to go up to Miami. They pay double what some of the other clinics do down here for vet techs, and we can arrange individual meetings with the squad if that's what it takes to get you to move down here.
We'll work on getting you housing. Actually, the new clinic may try to do that too. That's the big stumbling block. Yeah,
they have housing help for vet techs, because it's expensive to live down here in the Keys, but they've got a whole plan. So
and you can have additional dog sitting income if you'd like.
Oh my God, if you want to also dog sit, yes.
We have some dogs that need sitting on.
In fact, we'll pay a retainer, like $1,000 a month retainer.
To keep you from taking other jobs?
You can take other jobs just for like...
That's not what a retainer means.
We'll pay you $1,000 a month just to ensure that you are here and the clinic stays open, and that like we... with reasonable notification can have your dog sitting duties, which we'll pay you for separately.
This is the worst negotiation I've ever been part of.
And we need to have an emergency clinic open down here.
Backwards.
The opportunity cost for you to do 6-hour round trip drives, and 2 of them, right? You got to take Voods up and come back, and then you got to pick him up and come back, even without the groceries. So 12 hours of your time is worth a lot more than $12,000 a year, which is what we're we would be paying with this $1,000 a month retainer.
Yeah, probably true. Look at you, or the economist.
Anyway, it's been a very stressful week. We went to bed at like 10 o'clock on the dot last night, and I slept until 8 this morning.
Yeah.
It was a tough night. I mean, you got a little more sleep than me because I was just like awake, so I was handling all of the interrupting dogs.
But there's one fewer interrupting dog.
Yeah, last night was fine. I'm just looking at my notes here. I wrote, every dog but Venk is a jerk when Voodoo's having a seizure.
Oh, yeah. Because they're all like, they don't know what to do. And half of them want to get close.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 of them or 3 of them want to get their attention. So, like, Voods comes up with Venk comes up to, like, lick my mouth, or...
Oh my God!
Guac comes up with a ball and is
Voods was having his second seizure, and Hops was like, "You guys are not paying enough attention to me." So, like, as he's still seizing, Hops like hobbles over and plops down and lays down on his head, and like turns her head backwards and is like, "Would somebody please pet me?"
Pet me! And like they have no concept that Voods is in distress.
The only dog left in the running for low maintenance dog of the week is Venk. She's the only one who didn't do anything when he had a seizure.
She gets anxious, but she didn't squeeze herself into the scene.
Does she get anxious? Because I think she slept through the first one.
I don't know. She was in the bedroom. No, she was in the bedroom waiting to come out as we closed the door on her face.
Anyway, yes, everyone else has ruled themselves out. Hops threw herself down on top of seizing Voods because she's like, I need to get pet.
No, I think Guac came with his ball and was like, can we play with the ball?
Oh, Guac 100% was. And he's escaped at least twice into the neighbor's yard this week.
Once when the neighbor wasn't even there.
Just like, I'm going over here now. We're working on it. We've got new plans to get him trained out of that.
He's got
Brody pulling the normal bullshit for wanting his, like, second dinner. Panting dinner in our face. And third dinner. Remy, like, Voods starts having his second seizure, and Remy's like, there's a lot of noise going on here. I'm just going to start fucking barking.
Barking. He does bark when he's excited or anxious.
So I'm like on the floor with Voods, who's seizing, he's screaming the terrible noises, and I'm like, Ingo, put Remy behind a baby gate. And
I had no idea what you were saying.
You're no like idea. Wandering around. I was like, put him in another room, Ingo.
I was looking for the Medazzle.
Yeah, and I was like, get Remy out of here. He's just standing there barking. Oh, I was so angry. Not at you, at Remy.
You seemed angry at everyone. It was like just shooting in circles or whatever it is.
I mean, it was like difficult, but also, I mean, like whenever any of the dogs are in crisis, and certainly when Voods is having a seizure, I'm just like, get fucking shit done.
It was like a roundhouse kick.
Like we're not going to be nice. I don't think it's like that. I'm like, this is what needs to be done. Do it right now. Like, we don't have time for massaging anybody's egos or just fucking do the thing that has to get done. Here's the thing that needs to get done. Do it. Don't talk. Just do it.
Yeah, and I had no idea what you were saying. I didn't understand a
because
single
it's
word.
very loud. Because Voods is screaming when he's having a seizure.
And Remy is barking.
And Remy is barking. So part of my tone was just yelling over the noise in the house. And not anger, even though I'm like, put Remy in another room right now. Because it's so loud. It was terrible.
It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was still half asleep, too.
No, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just like...
Didn't do anything right, either. Didn't really do anything.
It's definitely a 2-person job when Voods is having a seizure, because like somebody needs to tend to Voods and like push the other dogs off who are getting all up in there. Hopefully get them behind a locked door. I mean, I know he started having the seizure and I was in the bathroom and you were in bed, and I know I threw 2 dogs in the bathroom and closed the door on them
nice
to
work.
Just get them out of the way.
Nice work.
You need a person to manage that and like go get the medicine and like all those things, and one person to like
all you want to do is kind of hold Voods.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of just out of it, poor boy.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the status on Voods. He's
it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
He's not having a great spa time, but it's kind of fun to imagine him as doing that.
Yeah. I still like # South Beach Life.
That picture with him with the cucumbers and the like drying his hair is just awesome. So awesome.
This is a fan submission. I don't have who it is pulled up in front of me. I'll try to find it before we're done with the podcast.
Well, it's my photo.
I know, but did you like credit the person who created the image?
No.
No.
But she's great. Or he's great.
That's right.
They're great.
Someone has a good Photoshop of, because with the first tweet where I was like, look, Voods is in the hospital, I was like, they're going to name a wing after him at this point, the pinto bean wing. And here it is. Okay, GR Dialogues tweeted this, and it's like a room.
So good. It's
like a hallway, and there's an open door, and the door says pinto bean wing, and then in it is Voods, like sitting on a little bed, and he's got a pink towel around his head and cucumbers on his eyes. His nails are painted.
He looks very relaxed.
Yeah. So that's GR Dialogues, a good account to follow. It's a very funny fan account.
Yeah, I got to update my Twitter profile to give credit there at GR Dialogues.
Other than Voods, not a ton going on this week.
Well, by comparison, very little.
Yeah, that's true. In terms of dog updates, the only other one that we have is that the snuffle mat I have transferred to Venk, and Venk friggin' loves the snuffle mat.
I think I gave it back to Remy today.
Oh, for breakfast? Venk used it for
Whatever
dinner.
meal I did today.
You did breakfast.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
It's in the rotation. Everybody gets to try the snuffle
it
mat.
wasn't terrible for Remy either.
No.
I got impatient, but that wasn't Remy's problem.
Venk likes it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Do you put broccoli in there too?
Well, I didn't yesterday when I gave them dinner, and then somebody bitched at me that I didn't give Venk broccoli with it, so I put like 3 broccolis on there today.
Broccoli on the side.
Yeah. That's what it said. Maybe it was you who bitched at me about it.
No, it was not. It was not. I was driving. Hard to tweet and Twitter while I'm driving.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, not.
Oh, excuse me. I'm still tired. Okay, so anyway, that's that. So everybody else is doing fine.
Guac still runs away. He's still in probation.
In non-dog updates, our dog is continuing to be put in. They have one more pole to put in the water, which they will do in the morning, and then I guess they're actually going to start constructing the like platform part where the planks and stuff will go. So it's coming along.
Yeah, but it does crimp the swimming style. I mean, the dogs are getting progressively dirtier because they haven't been swimming.
Yeah. Brody, you do not get their dinner.
Should I let him out?
Shut up.
There is a non-zero chance.
All right. We'll try to let him out. Last week on the podcast, he deceived us, so we'll see what happens this week. Once again, we've been deceived. Brody just wanted their dinner.
But now he's eating a little dinosaur, so he's got a pizza slice.
That's good. So we have no other updates. You want to do Taste of the Keys or German Word of the Week first?
Taste of.
Crocodile is back, you guys. Crocodile was gone.
Maybe not. Maybe
Crocodile has returned.
Maybe she's very good at hiding.
I mean, she is definitely very good at hiding. And our neighbors this week posted a video of her swimming along their canal. So she is back.
Our neighbor's like 2 streets down. This isn't like far away neighbors.
Someone's like, so Crocodile is back. Everybody knows that her name's Crocodile now. Here's a video. Everybody should call Fish and Wildlife and complain, because the more complaints they get, the more likely it is that they move her. Nobody at me with your "we should all coexist" bullshit. I don't want to hear it.
There's someone with a small dog. Or
yeah, that's right.
Any pet that could get chomped.
Yeah, I guess someone had called FWC, and whoever they talked to, assuming it was there, who knows who they called, but whoever they talked to was a real asshole, and they're like, the person who called was like, I'm worried about my dog, and they're like, it's a wildlife protection area, your dog shouldn't be off leash, and they're like, it's my house, and they're like, well, your dog shouldn't be off leash, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, it's my backyard. Yeah. I don't know if that was actually Fish and Wildlife or it was, some other number that they called. But anyway, Crocodile is back.
They probably called 911. Knowing next door.
Next door is like,
I'm calling 911. I'm calling the White House.
God, it's one of those things where it's like necessary. Like, I want to know when the crocodile is around. I have to be on next door. And yet, there's so much bullshit there.
It's so uneven.
And I'm on 2 because I'm on one for the Maryland house and the one here. So I get like...
I gotta say, the Maryland one's worse.
Oh, way worse.
Yeah, that's much more people who wish they were in a homeowners association sometimes.
But there's also the person who's like, I'd like to start a dream circle. where like everybody comes and like talk about what your dreams are, and then we'll all talk
Not
about
a drum circle. That's last week. Dream circle.
drum circle, not hippie enough. Dream circle, where we talk about our dreams and like the meaning that they have.
And I think
Which, like,
they sit in a circle, but
they
who knows?
do. Fucking more power to them. Like, no judgment if that is a thing that brings you joy, but like that is not a mailing list I'd sign up for.
No, that.
And then people were like talking about their dreams on Nextdoor.
It's not. They did. And
then I
someone
get it
was
in an
narrating
email
their like
digest.
long. It was like a reply all. That's the problem with Nextdoor. It's like a reply all nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I had a dream once.
Oh my God.
Oh, and then it always ends up someone's just like, when I was younger, I did this way. So,
And somebody's always like, fuck you hippies in dream circles. Somebody unsubscribed me from this email. I never signed up for it. And then someone goes, if you click this thing in the top of Nextdoor, it'll get the emails to stop. Like, very helpful instruction. They're like, I didn't sign up for this, and somebody needs to take me off, or I'm going to call the police.
I'm going to call my grandson and have him remove me.
You know what? It'd be more productive, but they literally threatened to call the police.
On Nextdoor.
on the Silver Spring Nextdoor. Oh my God. All right.
That's classic, at least.
Anyway, that Taste of the Keys is Crocodile is back. We have not seen her still, so I'll keep y'all updated.
I mean, the good news is the post guys are probably keeping her away because of the pounding.
She's
and
like,
the
damn, it's loud over there.
The compressors and the grinding. That's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's the German word of the week? Don't you sip that beer. You have a responsibility to tell us the German word of the week.
Meerf.
Oh my God, he just sipped the beer, you guys.
You can't control me.
No, I can't.
Vollgas geben.
People going out.
Vollgas.
What is that word?
To floor it. To give full gas.
Oh,
Vollgas.
Vollgas gehen.
Yeah, Vollgas
like
geben. To give full gas.
Oh.
Vollgas
is it like go full speed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Vollgas geben.
Vollgas. And we don't call, petrol gasoline. It's not called gas. It's called benzene.
So I just learned a word for what this means. Lent word.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. A lease word. Lease word is what it's called when you take a word from other languages.
It's probably leased. Yeah. We'll give it back in 99 years.
Okay. I'm going to cut us off because Hops is crying and probably needs to go out.
A stern talking to.
She's having a little bit of gastrointestinal upset, as she does 50% of the time.
She's a bad patient.
All right. So we got to take her out. Until next week, don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Don't bite anyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.